Good evening, all my little bun-buns. Daisy here with you tonight, feeling, well, rather fluffy if you can't tell. Uh, and we're going to have a thoughts video. So, this would be about a cartoon series for a very, very popular movie series that I'm a big fan of. That would be Star Wars Clone Wars. Alright, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting one. And I will elect here, there are technically some spoilers involved in this, so if you haven't watched all of Clone Wars, you may not want to start off with this. You may want to go watch through it and come back. I know, I'm telling you not to enjoy my content, but I don't think the spoilers are going to ruin too much of anything, but I like to be thorough. So, most people don't even think about where Clone Wars even started. It started being put out after episode 2 had been aired in theaters, and it was these little, it started off as tiny shorts on Cartoon Network. In fact, the first time I saw the first episode of it, I thought it was the preview for it. I thought that was just an intro for the first episode. It was that short. They were like a couple of minutes long, and you practically had to be, staring at the TV, being ready. And I feel like Cartoon Network over-teased us with these original shorts. There were a lot of them, mind you, okay, but you had like 2 minutes of story per week. You were really being held on the chain for 2 minutes at most of story. And I might be exaggerating there because they were really, really painfully small. It was a 2D animation. I think it was Tartakovsky was the artist. I can't remember for sure. It's the guy who did Samurai Jack, for as far as I remember, right? Did these shorts, and they were very, very stylized characters of the Star Wars universe. Mostly characters from Clone Wars, and some creative villains they managed to squeeze into there. It was interesting. I can't necessarily say I loved how it started off, but it started. That was the important part. It did accentuate how the characters were. It felt right, and that's the only reason I think it got to survive and not get completely lost in oblivion. Now, the first season was really short episodes. The second season of that, they really ramped up the time frame. I think there were 15-minute episodes, something like that. 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere there. There were a lot more goings on in them. You actually felt like you had an episode now instead of just having the preview of an episode, effectively, which is what I felt like all of the first season was. And you got introduced to a little bit more pre-episode 3 stuff before it came out. Like, we had the first viewing of General Grievous. We had apparently showing how he got his lung capacity kind of damage, made more wheezy and coughy in the movie due to Mace Windu's interaction. So that's kind of a cool little bonus factor there. Now, this is just where it started all. I do have both of these 2 seasons on disc. I have them on DVD because I don't think they've ever been released on Blu-ray. I wish they would be, but I'll accept the fact that I at least own them on some form of disc. It is a lot easier to watch the first and second season of Clone Wars on disc than it was to try and watch them weekly on Cartoon Network. That was painful. Seeing them in a row much more coherent, much more feels like it's actually a show as opposed to just spittle on the wall. But that was just like these two things turned into being the teaser for what became the Clone Wars cartoon. Following in the same kind of stylized look and effectively using that as the story point jumping point, practically calling it canon. I don't know if it's canon officially, but it seems like it. They used these stylized characters and turned them into 3D models and started the regular Clone Wars cartoon series, which lasted for 6 plus a half plus another half season of stuff. And apparently another spin-off series that's going to be starting early this year. It may have started now. I don't know. I need to go check my Disney Plus to see what's going on. But we'll start more at the beginning here. I will try and be concise. I'm not going to go through every episode and every little plot point because this was an extremely good series and a lot going on. I don't put the 2D animation discs in very often. I do enjoy sitting back and rewatching all of the regular series, though. It is fun, and it feels Star Warsy. You don't feel like you're being cheated. You feel like we have Star Wars on the TV, and it's animated, so they can break a lot of the easy, you can't do that in physical form roles without a big CG budget. Mandalorian started to manage that too, though. We'll get into that one later. But we have, starting off, a story with Anakin and Obi-Wan trying to assault a planet against the droid army. We are really, really much just after episode 2, possibly after those 2 first discs too. So, depending on how you look at it, that's about where we are. And they're in kind of a standoff fight, and they get a messenger sent to them who happens to be now Anakin's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, who, I'll be honest, right off the bat and for the first full season, I thought she was an annoying little yappity, tag on child character. And for the whole first season, I kind of feel justified. But we are also dealing with a lot of exposition effectively for the first season. You're introducing possibly some people that have not gotten into Star Wars as much or at all, because these were targeted at children primarily, not necessarily adults. And you're pulling out elements of Star Wars here and there, bring out things one bit at a time, like we threw Y-Wings in the first season. We had a lot of interesting droid army ships being involved here, including this giant cruiser that was brought into the first season that they slowly took out over several episodes. So you had overarching stories going on sometimes, and you had a lot of big, cool events that they actually squeezed into a cartoon universe and made sure we actually got more story than just every several years of a new solid movie. As we progressed, we got more characters brought into the parties, more characters being viewed on the screen. Also, for a lot of through this series, we had jump around, which is kind of what Star Wars initially had tried to be when they were starting off. It was meant to be kind of a sci-fi serial movie. After he decided it was going to be more than one episode, that is. So we had, sometimes we jump a little forward and see what's going on in this group, maybe jump a little back and see what's going on with these people. You always did have, going back to episodes involving Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan, even Yoda and Mace Windu and a lot of the other big Jedi names showed back up and had time frame, had screenplay. They had a lot going on for all these characters, which was great. As we got into the second season, things got better. We definitely had a lot more Ahsoka not being just a annoying brat child, which is really good. You don't need to just have the connection character for children be that obliviously, super powered and awesome and know it all, because that gets old quick. Uh, Throughout the series, she grew up, which is awesome. She actually grew as a character and grew in a way that, well, actually grew. They made her grow up bigger and get taller. She got her own style of fighting. She used a primary lightsaber in one hand and an offhand lightsaber in the other hand, a short blade. So more like a sword and dagger type battling as opposed to fencing or katana type combat. So it was really a neat diversion to have a different style of fighting. We also were following a lot of clone troopers throughout this series. You didn't think about it at first, they were just there, but they got names. And you'd start seeing the same names coming back over and over. You had Commander Cody, and you had Rex, and they actually showed back up throughout the series. Commander Cody was in the movies. He was the clone commander that was under General Kenobi in Episode 3, the one who actually hands him his lightsaber back. That one, that's Commander Cody. He was actually a character in the movie and a character in the cartoon series, a big time character. He showed up often. Rex, definitely a very important character, being an ARC trooper, very, very cool. Got to have a lot of characterization of a trooper. They weren't just thousands of blank slates out there to fall over when they got shot at. They actually were kind of cool. And we got to have a lot of interaction with bounty hunters and offset people. Boba Fett as a kid and some other bounty hunters running around. Bosk was in it. And we had Cad Bane, blue guy. I can't remember the species they are. Blue guy, red eyes. He was a really, really neat bounty hunter. He got quite a few appearances. He was a character in himself. He was awesome. One of the characters I really came to love from this series. And you saw how the Jedi were not perfect through this. The fact that they were definitely uniview on a lot of things. They weren't kind of in the movie. You saw the only a Sith has absolutes, but so do apparently the Jedi. And they were definitely on the guilty until proven innocent on a lot of things, which was kind of not cool. Which kind of pushes Ahsoka out of the Jedi Order. So whenever Order 66 happened, she was not a Jedi. She was not associated with any of these clone troopers. She was out on her own. Even though she did not do what they had accused her of, it was another Padawan that had done the naughty. And she even caught them. We had some interesting characters like Asajj Ventress, who showed up initially in the 2D animation section. she became a big-time awesome villain, uh, Padawan learner of Count Dooku throughout this. And she got to be a big-time character, and that was great. I loved having her there. She was powerhouse on screen. So much happened. So much happened on this show. We actually got to see more of the Emperor, both as trying to be a Senate leader and as the Emperor being all evil and stuff. We got to see the Mandalorians from Mandalore being taken out, having a good solid war go on there with both sides attacking there, so that was really cool. Darth Maul got to show up and actually got some seriously good story. He was awesome. We got him. We got another one of his species in the male section being turned into a giant weapon, dark Sithy type weapon. We had the females of his species, which don't live with the males. It's kind of a weird thing. They got to be on screen for a good bit. They got to have a good big part. It was so many cool events, so many interesting things, so many stories you wanted to see on screen that I'd want to see on screen as a kid. I now got to see. One of the biggest teasers that Star Wars episodes 4 through 6 always had for me was, oh, back in the Clone Wars. Back in the Clone Wars. Back in the Clone Wars. And then we had 2 movies, and the Clone Wars were over in 2 movies. It's not a war. It's a clone skirmish. Okay? We needed a war. And 7-ish seasons of Clone Wars sort of fills that in. I can dig that. That definitely covers my needs of a Clone War. Now, to say that this show really covered all the bases, if you think about the 2D animation stuff starting like almost instantly after episode 2, you can really see the end of the 3D series of it finishing off into mid episode 3. Like, starting to, not only did we just like go up to the edge of episode 3, we got well into it. Because we got into the point where the story should have been over. Darth Vader had been created. We still went a little bit further. Which I was amazed that Disney actually came in and finished this off and gave us closure well past where they needed to. That was a loved attribute. And in this final crescendo series section they added in, it's on Disney Plus. Highly recommend watching it if you've not yet. They have a couple episodes with these kind of Bad Batchy type clone troopers that have issues. And they're going to be getting their own spin-off series starting sometime this year, as far as I remember the notes from the end of that series. And I'm looking forward to that. I really want to see what happens there. I want to know what's going to go on with them. And a lot of these characters do show up in a couple later series. I'm going to cover that stuff on the next video, because we're going to move into Star Wars Rebels. And we'll have a little fun with that, because that show also hits home pretty good. Not quite as good as Clone Wars to me. Clone Wars is what I wanted. And for what few episodes I was not as happy with, there were 10 other episodes at a time to cover up for any episode I was less than 100% pleased with. And I'm not saying I was even mad at any episode. I'm saying there were episodes that weren't as good next to the other 10 that would come after it that would be better, and then another one that was okay, and then 10 more that are better. It just felt like you were hit with good after good after good story. You wanted to know what was happening. You wanted to feel that. You wanted to see the next season. You wanted it to keep going. Though you knew deep down this was a finite period of time. We were going to run out of between point A and point B. You went from Annie being just barely adult to Darth Vader showing out. So here we are. I definitely recommend a watch on it. If you have not made it through the whole thing, by all means, get to it. I'm not sure if all of it's streaming online. I know only the last bonus season is currently on Disney Plus. I hope they do put the rest of it on there because it was an awesome show. And all it's going to cost them is server space. So I recommend they do it. They own it. Give it to us. I know you can buy it all on DVD and Blu-ray. I own the whole thing from Blu-ray to beginning to as much as they've released. They didn't release the last season yet, as far as I can tell. The last part is the thing that's on Disney Plus right now. As soon as they do, I plan to own that and The Mandalorian. The only other thing that I know exists that I don't own. Oh, and season 2 of Resistance is the newest series they've come up with. We'll talk about that later, too. A lot to talk about. Star Wars is a big world, and I think this is a good place to start into it. Definitely not where I started. I mean, I started with episodes 4, 5, and 6. 6 specifically was the first one I saw. Then 1, then 5, or 6, then 4, then 5. So I came completely out of order initially, but once I'd figured out how they all went together, I watched them in order over and over as a kid. So I was ready for this when it came out. I was ready for episode 1 when it came to theaters. I was ready for episode 2. And when we had a good, solid cartoon series, I was just like, yeah. Because growing up, all I had was like the Ewoks show and the Droids show. If you remember either of those, you watch them wishing you had more Star Wars, and not quite that. Yeah, such is life. Anyway, thank you for spending some time listening to me babble about a Star Wars series. I hope you enjoyed. I plan to talk about the rest of it as time goes by because, well, Star Wars is a bit of a big blop. And it's a very important blop in my life that if you can't tell from, Fat Man behind me, all my X-Wing miniatures on the shelf behind me, yeah, Star Wars, kind of special. And, well, might as well close this off. Definitely thank you all for spending some time watching this babbling. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The little dingly bell for said dingly bell will let you know when I post new episodes. Who knows? Might be a Daisy episode. Though, to stress this, I do find it's most important that I like the fact that you watch this show and share it with your friends. Because the more views, the better. That's the best part. I like sharing my babbling with more people who get to enjoy it. Or the fursuitiness, or whatever it is that draws you in to enjoy my videos. So share, please. Let your friends know. And if you're so inclined, my Patreon link is in the description box below. Any money given to that, I always appreciate. It does make my day, and it does help make this channel work better. So that's that. Thank you again. I hope to see you all again in another video. And we'll talk more, probably about Star Wars. Depending on the order I throw things out. You might see the next one next, or you might see something else next. But in any case, whichever comes out next. And I will see you again in the future. Or in a galaxy far, far away.